Let me tell you something, ladies. You want to know the truth about what makes a man really want you forever? I'm not talking about catching his attention for a night. I'm talking about being the woman he thinks about in the morning, the woman he prays for at night, the woman he sees in his future, not just his present. It's not just the way you look, though you're beautiful. It's not just the way you walk, though you got that stride. And it's not just how you dress, though yes, you can shut a room down. But real love, lasting love, forever love, that's built on something deeper. A man wants a woman who knows her worth, not the kind of worth that needs validation from social media likes or his attention. I'm talking about the kind of woman who walks into a room and doesn't need to compete because she's confident in who she is. She doesn't beg. She doesn't chase. She attracts. And she attracts by standing in her power, by holding her head up high, and by knowing she's the prize. Because when you know you're the prize, you don't just settle for anyone who notices you, you wait for the one who values you. Now let's be real. Men don't fall in love with a woman who bends over backwards trying to please them all the time. No, he falls in love with the woman who challenges him to grow, to be better, to think bigger. The woman who speaks life into his dreams, but also holds him accountable when he's slipping. He may not say it out loud, but every real man wants that. He wants the woman who's not afraid to check him when he's wrong, love him when he's down, and push him when he's lazy. That kind of woman, he'll fight to keep her. And here's the thing that really seals the deal: consistency. The way you show up every day with grace, with peace, with strength. That's what locks him in. Not drama, not games, not pretending to be someone you're not. A man wants forever with the woman who is authentic, who knows when to be soft and when to be strong, who isn't trying to be perfect, but always real. Let me say this too. Don't lose yourself in trying to make him love you, because the moment you start molding yourself into what you think he wants, you're no longer you, and he won't even recognize what he fell for. Be you, stand in your truth, keep your standards, and let him rise to meet you there. A man wants forever with a woman who brings peace to his life, not chaos. He wants the one he can trust, the one he can build with, the one he can laugh with, cry with, pray with. The woman who doesn't just want the ring, but wants the journey. The woman who sees beyond the now and loves the man he is, while believing in the man he's becoming. So if you're wondering what makes him want you forever, it ain't a secret. It's your self-respect, your power, your patience, your passion, your purpose. A man who's worth it, he'll see all that, and he'll do whatever it takes to keep you. Because once he knows you're the real thing, he ain't trying to lose that, ever. Knowing your worth is not about being arrogant or entitled. It's about understanding who you are, what you bring to the table, and refusing to shrink yourself to fit into someone else's idea of love. When a woman knows her worth, she doesn't just attract attention, she attracts respect. And that's what makes a man want her forever. A woman who values herself isn't out here begging for affection or chasing someone who's not ready. She doesn't settle for half love, late replies, or confused energy. She doesn't play the role of a placeholder while he figures himself out. She knows what she deserves, and she's not afraid to walk away if it's not aligned with that. When a man meets a woman who carries herself with confidence, something in him shifts. It's not about what she's wearing or how pretty she is, though that may get his attention at first. It's the energy she walks with. A woman who knows her worth walks like she's already chosen, already complete, already full. She doesn't approach relationships from a place of need or desperation, but from a place of abundance. She's not looking for a man to complete her. She's looking for a man to build with. That difference is powerful. A man will want a woman forever if he feels that he didn't just find her, he earned her. And a woman who knows her worth doesn't just give herself away emotionally, physically, or mentally, without knowing that the man has shown he's worthy of her time and effort. She's not bitter, she's not guarded, but she's wise. She observes, she listens, she pays attention to how a man treats her, how consistent he is, how serious his intentions are. She's not caught up in fairy tales. She's rooted in reality. And because she respects herself, she teaches others how to treat her, not through words, but through her boundaries and her choices. In a world where people are constantly trying to gain approval from others through followers, likes, validation, attention, a woman who approves of herself stands out. That self-assurance is magnetic. It makes a man want to be better, just to be with her. He starts thinking long-term. He starts imagining what life would be like with someone who uplifts him, believes in herself, and knows how to love without losing herself. She becomes unforgettable, not because she tried to be, but because she simply was who she is, without apology. Now that doesn't mean a woman who knows her worth doesn't feel pain or doesn't want love deeply. Of course she does. But the difference is, she doesn't confuse her desire for love with the need to accept less than she deserves. She's patient. She's not in a rush to claim a title or force a connection. She believes that the right man will recognize her value and step up, not step out. And if he doesn't, she's willing to walk away, not because she doesn't care, but because she cares too much about herself. There's nothing more powerful than a woman who knows her worth and refuses to compromise it. It makes a man respect her more. It makes him step back and think, if I want her, I need to come correct. It raises his own standards because he sees she's not the type to tolerate games. She becomes the standard in his life, not because she's trying to prove something, but because she refuses to be anything less than what she knows she is: valuable, strong, intelligent, loving, and irreplaceable. This is what makes a man want you forever, not tricks, not looks, not manipulation. It's when he realizes that you're a woman who's whole all by herself. You know your worth, and you carry yourself like you're not afraid to be alone, rather than be in the wrong relationship. That's the kind of woman a man doesn't forget. That's the kind of woman he wants to keep, protect, grow with, and build a life around. Because he knows, if he loses her, he's not just losing love, he's losing something rare, something sacred, and that's a risk he's not willing to take. A woman who challenges and inspires a man to grow becomes unforgettable. She's not the one who flatters him constantly just to keep his attention. She's the one who sees his potential and isn't afraid to speak the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. A man might be attracted to beauty, to charm, to sweet words, but what makes him stay, what makes him invest, is the woman who pushes him to rise above where he is now. She doesn't do it by nagging or criticizing. She does it with love, with intention, and with a vision that's bigger than the moment. When a man feels stagnant, when he's stuck in routines, or when he starts losing sight of his purpose, it's the right woman who can reignite his fire, not by doing the work for him, but by reminding him of who he is and what he's capable of. She holds him to a higher standard, not because she thinks he's failing, but because she believes in him that deeply. She doesn't let him give up on himself. She's the woman who say, I see more in you than this. You're better than what you're settling for. And that kind of honesty, wrapped in support, is rare. It's powerful. It's life-changing. Every man reaches moments in his life where he questions himself, his purpose, his direction. When he has a woman beside him who doesn't fold under pressure, who remains steady while encouraging him to evolve, he starts to connect her presence with his progress. That's when she becomes more than a partner. She becomes a motivator, a muse, a mirror reflecting his highest self, and a man will hold on to that. He knows that she's not just there for the good times. She's someone who challenges him to dig deeper, to fight harder, to keep going when things get rough. She becomes the one he can't replace because she didn't just love him for who he was. She loved him into who he could become. But that challenge comes with balance. The woman who inspires him isn't trying to change him into someone he's not. She's not controlling or manipulative. She's rooted in her own growth, and by being aligned with her purpose, she naturally pulls the best out of him. She doesn't beg him to be great. She just leads by example. She invests in herself, works on her own goals, and remains driven. And a man watching that begins to think, if she's doing all that, I need to level up too. That's how inspiration works, not through pressure, but through presence. The beauty of this dynamic is that it builds real partnership. A man stops seeing her as someone who's just there. He sees her as the woman who made him better, the one who added value to his life in a way no one else did. When he wins, he knows she was part of that journey. When he stumbles, he remembers the words she spoke to help him rise again. That bond becomes something sacred. That's the kind of woman he not only wants forever, but he works to keep forever, because she's not just part of his past or present, she's part of his becoming. In a world that often tells women to be quiet, to be easygoing, to avoid being too much, this kind of woman is different. She's brave enough to challenge a man, not out of pride, but out of love. She doesn't fear his reaction because she's not seeking approval. She's seeking growth. She believes in iron sharpening iron. She knows a real relationship isn't just about comfort. It's about building something strong, something that lasts. And that kind of bond only forms when both people are committed to growth. She inspires not only through her words, but through how she lives. And that consistent example is what calls a man to rise higher. This is what makes a man want her forever. She becomes the voice in his head that reminds him of his purpose. She becomes the steady hand when life gets shaky. She becomes the partner who sees through excuses and still loves him enough to push him beyond them. That kind of woman is not common, and once a man experiences it, he won't settle for anything less. He won't want to lose her, because she didn't just touch his heart, she impacted his future. Being consistent and authentic in a relationship is one of the most powerful traits a woman can possess, and is often what sets her apart from the rest. In a world full of mixed signals, games, and uncertainty, consistency becomes a breath of fresh air. And authenticity, being real, honest, and unapologetically yourself, is the foundation of lasting love. When a man sees these qualities in a woman, he doesn't just see someone to date, he sees someone to build a future with. These traits speak volumes about her character and emotional maturity. They say, you can trust me, I'm not here to play, I'm here to grow, to build, and to love with intention. Consistency means showing up the same way, day after day, not just when it's convenient. It means being emotionally reliable. It means not switching personalities depending on your mood, your friends, or your surroundings. A man falls deeply for a woman when he knows what to expect from her, when her words align with her actions, and her affection isn't a guessing game. Emotional consistency provides a sense of security. It allows him to relax, to feel safe, to trust that her love isn't conditional on how much he earns that week or how romantic he was last night. He knows that even when life throws challenges their way, she won't become someone else. She will handle the storm with the same energy she had during the sunshine. This level of steadiness builds a bond that doesn't crack easily, because a man knows that if she can show up with kindness today, she'll still do it tomorrow, even if they disagree, even if they face tough times. She's not easily shaken. Her love is not driven by impulse, emotion, or the opinion of others. It's rooted in who she is. And when a man experiences that kind of consistency, he begins to trust her with parts of himself he's never shared. He sees her not only as a lover, but as a partner in the truest sense of the word. Now add authenticity to that, and you've got something truly rare. Authenticity means being yourself without masks or filters. It means not pretending to be what you think he wants, but being brave enough to show up as you, flaws, strengths, past, dreams, all of it. A woman who is authentic doesn't chase trends or lose herself trying to impress someone. She knows who she is, and she stays grounded in that truth. That realness is magnetic. A man doesn't want to spend forever with someone who's always performing. He wants the woman who is honest about her struggles, who owns her journey, who isn't afraid to say, this is me, take it or leave it. Because when a man sees a woman being real, it gives him permission to be real too. Authenticity also means emotional transparency. It means she can communicate how she feels without playing games. She doesn't use silence as punishment or manipulation to get attention. She speaks her mind with respect. She says what she means and means what she says. And over time, a man realizes that this is the kind of woman who makes a house a home, because he doesn't have to wonder who he's dealing with today. She's not hot one moment and cold the next. She's not sweet in public and bitter in private. She's whole, balanced, and real. And that realness builds a trust so deep that it feels unshakable. When consistency and authenticity come together in a woman, it creates emotional safety. And emotional safety is what truly makes a man want to stay. He may be attracted to beauty, drawn to charm, impressed by success, but he stays for the woman who feels like home. That doesn't happen by chance. It happens when she stays true to herself and shows up with the same heart every day. Not perfect, but honest. Not flawless, but faithful. A man wants forever with a woman who makes him feel like he can breathe, like he can be himself, like he doesn't have to wear armor all the time. And that only happens when she leads with honesty, lives with intention, and loves without fear. That woman is rare. That woman is unforgettable. And once he knows what it feels like to have that, he won't want anything or anyone else. When a woman brings peace instead of chaos into a man's life, she becomes someone he doesn't want to live without. In a world where everyone is constantly busy, stressed, and overwhelmed, peace is not just desired, it's needed. And when a man finds that in a woman, it changes the way he sees her. She becomes his calm in the storm, his safe place, his reason to breathe deeper. That kind of presence is powerful, and it's the reason some women are remembered forever. They didn't shout the loudest, demand the most, or create drama to hold attention. They simply brought peace, steady, quiet, lasting peace, and that made them unforgettable. Peace is not about silence or avoiding conflict. It's about emotional maturity. It's about knowing when to speak and when to listen. A peaceful woman isn't one who agrees with everything a man says, but she communicates in a way that doesn't attack, blame, or belittle. She understands that love isn't about control or ego. It's about connection. She knows how to express herself clearly, calmly, and confidently. And because of that, the man feels safe with her. He doesn't feel judged. He doesn't feel like he's walking on eggshells. He feels like he can be himself, completely, honestly, and without fear. Chaos, on the other hand, drains a relationship. When a woman constantly brings drama, jealousy, insecurity, or emotional instability, it wears on a man. At first, he might tolerate it because of attraction or excitement, but over time, chaos becomes exhausting. A man doesn't want to come home after a hard day and step into a battlefield. He doesn't want to be questioned every 5 minutes, accused without reason, or pushed into arguments that go in circles. That kind of emotional turbulence makes a man pull away, not because he doesn't care, but because he craves peace more than passion. A peaceful woman values clarity over confusion. She doesn't play games. She doesn't use silence as a weapon, or mood swings as manipulation. She's steady. She's emotionally intelligent. She's learned how to handle her own emotions, so she doesn't pour them recklessly onto others. And that doesn't mean she doesn't feel deeply. It means she's learned how to manage her feelings in a healthy, mature way. That level of emotional control is rare, and it's attractive on a deep level. A man starts to see her not just as a girlfriend or wife, but as his anchor. She becomes the one he can turn to when everything else feels out of control. Peace also shows up in the way she handles challenges. Life will always bring problems, financial stress, family drama, career struggles, personal setbacks. But a woman who responds to those moments with grace instead of panic, with strategy instead of chaos, proves her strength in ways that no loud words ever could. A man watches that. He notices how she handles pressure, how she supports him in tough times, how she doesn't add more weight to his shoulders, but helps carry the load. That's peace in action. That's partnership. And that's what makes him want her by his side forever. There's something incredibly grounding about being with someone who doesn't make everything harder. A woman who brings peace makes life easier, not because she fixes everything, but because she adds calmness to the chaos. She's not reckless with her words. She knows how to pause before reacting. She knows how to de-escalate a situation instead of fueling the fire. And that emotional discipline isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It shows she's grown. It shows she values love over ego. It shows she knows how to build something that lasts. When a man sees that kind of woman, he holds on tight, because in a world full of noise, distraction, and fake love, peace feels like the realest thing of all. It doesn't scream for attention. It speaks for itself through consistency, through kindness, through emotional stability. A peaceful woman doesn't have to compete. She becomes the peace he didn't even know he needed. She becomes the person who quiets his storms, not by doing anything grand, but simply by being who she is, grounded, calm, loving, and real. And when he experiences that, he knows she's not just someone to be with. She's someone to never let go.